everybody, this is Joseph Boogedy of Stokely Films. I'm the co-writer, the director, and the creator of the new slasher sensation, Specimen 6, which will be out here very soon on digital and then on DVD very shortly after. And for my Indiegogo backers, it is coming. I am putting in a good 20 hours this week to finish that up. I just wanted to get that out there to everybody that's anticipating Specimen 6. I know I am. Hey, Mariana, what are you doing? What is this thing that we're doing right now?
Well, as you guys remember, I ate some bad dumpster sushi last week, so I'm doing better. So I'm really excited to finally get some more content up. So in the past few days, trying to prepare, we've come across a few movies, some that are already out, some that are coming out, that we want to share with you guys, that we're excited to see this in the coming weeks, hopefully.
That's right. So we're going to be talking about our top 5 most anticipated films coming out either this year or next year. So that's kind of the iffy thing right there, is because there's so many movies I wanted to see that were supposed to be coming out in the next few months to a year. But of course, everybody knows this whole thing that's happened to the world has pushed a lot of stuff a year later. So now it's just that much more anticipation. So again, yes. Thank you and welcome to another episode of No Country for Joe and Mariana. All right, Mariana Chipoletta.
Joseph Oakley.
What do we got in the news? What do you got for me? Is there anything cool in the horror movie world or the horror genre in general?
So actually I want to talk about, so as you know, I love to play survival games, and I love dinosaurs. They're my favorite thing in the world. If I could have one as a pet, it would probably be a Dilophosaurus. The real one, not the Jurassic Park one, but also the Jurassic Park one, because spit fire or spit acid. I don't know why I said fire. I wish it was fire.
Yeah.
But there's a Kickstarter starting right now for a survival game, and it's who's bringing that out? That's Jaw Drop Games. They've started a Kickstarter for a survival horror dino game, and I'm really excited because I've played Ark and The Isle, and those are really great. Those are online games, and it's a survival environment with dinosaurs. You get to ride the dinosaurs. You get to do all kinds of stuff. So I'm kind of excited for that to come out.
Cool. Yeah, there's always
to see where that goes.
Yeah, some pretty cool games on Indiegogo that I see once in a while that I'd like to get a hold of. I know one of them was like his Evil Dead game. That looks really cool. I want to play that. So I got a little bit of news here, and this is something I caught the other day. So there's this podcast that I discovered because we just became like Twitter users for Stokely Films and everything. I had never really done it before. I always thought it was kind of like a trash fire sort of place, but it turns out there's actually some pretty cool, things if there's some pretty nice people on there promoting their stuff. And there's a director I really like that did Death House and Camp Dread. His name's B. Harrison Smith. He's a very intelligent person, and he has a podcast that he does called Cinema. And he spells it a little bit different because he discusses kind of good and bad films and what he constitutes to be cinema, but with a Y, so as in cynicism, cynical, and how to kind of avoid that. And kind of how to make a good movie and how to intentionally make a good movie. And whether a movie is bad or good, if a movie's bad, that doesn't mean that it qualifies as cinema with a C and a Y and an N-E-M-A. I'd let him, tell you exactly what that is. So I highly recommend going to his podcast, Cinema. I really, really enjoy it. He interviews a lot of indie sort of directors, and he talks a lot about just his passions of what he does as a director as well. But the little bit of news that I got was just out of his recent episode. He said that he has completed filming on a monster movie that has younger people in it. He didn't say what the name was, but he says there's news coming out really soon, so I'm really excited. So maybe go over to Cinema, and then maybe he'll tell a little bit about what that news is going to be, because I enjoy his movies quite a bit, and so I'm looking forward to that. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to, that is for sure. All right, Mariana, have you seen any movies recently or anything that you'd like to talk about?
So yeah, actually, Hulu has been my Hulu algorithm is kind of all over the place because I share it with someone
Mhm.
that doesn't watch horror movies, but recently I've been using it more than they have. So more horror movies have been coming up on my in my queue, and some that have just been released to Hulu. I mean, they're movies that have been out, but I got to watch The Devil Rejects recently,
Ooh.
and Rob Zombie movies are spectacular in the sense that they have this, like, he has this way of, I don't want to say overcompensating. It's like really dramatizing in an artistic way the slaughter that happens in front of him, but also it has like really deep themes to it, and also on there is House of a Thousand Corpses. So I actually got to watch both of those recently when I was sick. And I thoroughly enjoyed those. If you haven't watched Devil's Rejects, I highly recommend it. It's super fun ride. And actually, one of the things on my list is a Rob Zombie movie.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a new Rob Zombie movie coming out.
It actually already it's been out. It's on Shudder, and you know what? I'll just go ahead and start
Okay.
on Shudder. It's called Three from Hell, and it's three
Yeah,
killers. Have you seen it?
I have seen Three from Hell. I
Yeah,
own a Blu-ray of it.
it's awesome. It's exclusively on Shudder right now, and it's about these killers that break out of prison. Right, so a lot of shit ensues after that, and I haven't seen it, so I'm really excited to see it.
Well, I'm glad that you discovered that. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So we won't talk about it too much here, but I think we should do an episode that's just kind of on those Rob Zombie trilogy.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, House of a Thousand
absolutely.
Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, and Three from Hell. As I really am looking forward to revisiting those. The Three from Hell Blu-ray actually has a really cool making of, really long making of documentary on there, and it's really fascinating how we put it together and how it's so different from Devil's Rejects, yet it kind of carries the same themes, and it was an interesting to see the ride that he took to do it.
What have you
Yeah.
watched recently?
Well, recently what I watched was okay. Well, so usually I don't talk about movies I dislike, but I want to say one thing I do like about the film, and the only thing I like about the film is if you can see, you can't really see the cover here, but it's called the Jonestown Haunting. There you go, right there. You see,
Oh,
that looks
that's
pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah, it looks really cool. It has this great artwork on the cover, like a mountain of bones with a hand sticking out. And so occasionally I'll go over to Walmart and I'll just kind of go through all their, like, they'll come out each week with maybe $5 or $10 indie films, like horror films. And you never know if they're gonna be good or bad. This, unfortunately, it looks really cool. I was like, oh man, I bought it simply for the cover artwork, and perhaps I shouldn't have done that. But being a horror movie fan, you're digging through a lot of coal, a lot of lumps of coal to get to the diamond, diamond in the rough in the middle. And this is definitely one of those, like, the coal. So it's called the Jonestown Haunting. I thought, hey, that's kind of a cool concept. Would there be a bunch of the people that died at Jonestown that would come back and haunt and everything? And that does not happen at all. I honestly don't know why they called it the Jonestown Haunting, because there's no haunting. It's just about this gal that supposedly was part of the cult, and she survived the cult because she ran away. And a majority of the film is her walking around in the woods, and she talks to some hippie lady, and nothing happens there. And some weird twist at the end that is not a cool twist happens, but there's literally no haunting. So if you see this, I know it looks really cool, folks. Honestly, it's not worth much to go and buy. So if you want to look at the poster, I'm sure that you can see that DVD online. Enjoy that. I might just keep this around just so once in a while I can be like, oh, that's really nice looking, but I'm never going to watch that film again. However, I did watch something that I really, really, really did enjoy, and it was something that I hadn't seen since I was a kid. So growing up back in the day, the Magical World of Disney was a program on TV back when we only had 3 channels. way back in the day. And so it was kind of an event each week to watch the Magical World of Disney, and they had like a new movie or TV show. Sometimes they would show like The Absent-Minded Professor with Fred McMurray, which is the original Flubber, or they would show like The Shaggy Dog or episodes of like Grizzly Adams. And so it was always something different. It was an exciting thing each week to see that Magical World of Disney opening and the music. And so this is something that I originally saw that, and it was called Mr. Boogedy, and it came out in 1986. It was made for TV movie. It's very short, like 46 minutes. I have Disney Plus now, and surprisingly, it has very obscure things like Mr. Boogedy. I never thought I'd be able to see this again. We recorded off of the TV back in the day, and I would watch it over and over. And it's about this family. They're kind of a goofy family that owns a gag store, like an electric buzzers on hands and stuff like that. And so they're just like a goofy, fun-loving family. And they moved to this town called Lucifer Falls. And there's just all these little like kind of funny things like that. And they're like, oh, Lucifer Falls. It just sounds like a nice little New England town. And they moved in this spooky old haunted house. And at first they refused to, believe that it's haunted, but then you find out about Mr. Boogedy, who is this guy from back in the 1600s in America, and he's like just this douchey guy, and he'd go around and he'd be all angry at kids. He'd always go boogedy, 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 just to like upset the kids and make them run away. And then somehow he ends up discovering this like magic cloak, and then he dies, but he still has this magic cloak that keeps him around haunting this house. And John Astin, who was the original in the Addams family, Gomez Addams, he is in this film, and I always enjoyed seeing him pop up in different TV shows in the 80s, and he's so funny in this film. There's just a lot of cool things about it. It's just a fun family film about a haunted house and goofy things, but there are like kind of little things that you're like, oh, that is kind of spooky. Like Mr. Boogedy looks kind of spooky. And I really enjoyed that. And so, yeah, you should get Disney Plus just to see Mr. Boogedy. And there's Bride of Boogedy is on there too, the sequel, which I can't remember so much about because it's been 30 plus years since I've seen these things. But there's been a lot of nostalgia the last couple weeks, going to the drive-in theater to see Ghostbusters, watching Mr. Boogedy. It just kind of reminds me of like, it is cool to be happy, and things just like, like that make me really happy. I like a good haunted house film. So yeah, that's my recommendation of the week is Mr. Boogedy.
That's cool. Well, I kind of jumped the gun by starting with my first one, so I think you should tell me what the first movie on your list is.
Okay, well, I'm going to do that, and then you go right to yours. Okay, so my big thing of this year that got canceled because of this whole thing was actually Crypticon, and that's the horror convention I usually go to, so I was really disappointed in that, but I was looking forward to seeing the sequel to the new Halloween film, Halloween Kills, which is the direct sequel to the last one that came out like a year or two ago. And the teaser trailer came out for it, and it's literally the seconds after the first film ended, and Laurie Strode and her daughter and her granddaughter are all bloody, and they're driving in the back of this truck, and then all of a sudden you start to see all these like fire trucks and stuff going towards the house that Michael is burning up in, and then they start screaming like, no, don't put it out, like they want him to burn down in this, and then they're screaming and screaming, and then all of a sudden it cuts to Michael Myers just turning towards the camera a little bit, and that was it. And I'm like, holy shit. But the sad thing is that was supposed to come out this October, and then this teaser trailer says Halloween 2021. So that got pushed a whole year. So now I got to wait for that, but I'm anticipating that much more. So, shoot me now, but I can't wait to see that. So that is number 5 on my 5 down to 1 list.
That's really interesting because now I'm starting to think like, what other movies that could have been coming out on Halloween this year? Mm-hmm. Like, is it going to be a dry Halloween for us? What's going on? How are we going to do this?
Well, I think what we're going to see is probably a lot of like more smaller original films on like Netflix and Hulu. There's always cool things to see on there. And what I'm really hoping for is that during the warmer, dry months at the drive-in theater that they'll start showing more horror films there from the past at least. So like Ghostbusters was just there. Gremlins is playing there this weekend. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see that. I think we're still going to have plenty of horror films and lots of good things to watch. But the really big ones that we really want to watch, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. So, Mariana.
Oh, Joe.
What's the next on your list?
Next on my list is Z. It's also on Shudder. It's about an imaginary friend.
Oh,
don't you love having an imaginary friend?
I guess so. I mean, I got a real doll. No, I wish I did.
It's a child, which already makes it spooky, who has an imaginary friend, and the parents they start to see the psychologist about what could possibly be happening with their child, and this imaginary friend starts showing up in like corners of rooms, and it really spooks the parents, and I think it would be it's going to be a really cool like psychological drama thriller, and it kind of reminds me of a couple of other like films in the past that have been kind of similar, like Slender Man was kind of cool. And there was another one that I saw. Oh man, I wish I'd written it down. The problem with the movie that I can't think the name of right now is that I was trying to watch it, and the person that I was watching with was summarizing the movie as we were watching it. And I mean, I talk during movies, but it's to like poke holes in the in the movie. This person was literally just like telling me the next scene as it was happening, and I was just like,
I bet this is gonna.
So I'll have to remember what that one is. But yeah, Z. It's called Z. It's about an imaginary friend who comes basically to life to scare the crap out of people.
I like that. Okay, so my next one is a new Kevin Bacon film, and so occasionally Kevin Bacon will come out with a horror movie, like Stir of Echoes. I remember I saw that in the theater. It was such a cool experience. Of course, he was in the original Friday the 13th. He was in Tremors, and he's coming out with another film called You Should Have Left. We might have talked about this a little bit, but in the news. But I watched the trailer again a couple times, and it looks really cool. So he plays this this father who moves in this house with his kid and wife, and played by Amanda Seyfried, and who plays his wife, not his kid. And so the inside the house, it keeps shifting and changing, and he starts to notice this, and things are going weird in the house. And then he goes outside of the house to measure things, and in the trailer it shows that he's like, the inside is actually bigger than the outside. And so he goes, that shouldn't happen, and some weird things happen. So I'm really looking forward to that, because it's also from the director of Stir of Echoes, and I think that it's coming out from Blumhouse. I think that's going to be one of the more interesting films that'll be coming out. I think actually later on this summer. That one's, I don't think, is getting pushed back. So I'm excited to see that one quite a bit. So
I think it was his birthday last week too.
Was it Kevin Bacon's birthday? I didn't know that. Oh, I should have.
Yeah, I don't even know how old is he. Like 100? No, I think he's like, isn't he? What was it like? He was probably born
50s.
In the 60s.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. He's my dad's age, I'm sure.
Well, happy birthday, Kevin Bacon.
Happy birthday, Kevin Bacon. Belated, but it's there.
Okay, Mariana, what is your next one?
My next one is actually one that I told Joe about, but Joe bought it. It's Baby Frankenstein. I'm really excited to see that. Joe got it, and we're going to watch it soon, right?
Yes, we're going to do a whole review on Baby Frankenstein. We're going to spend a whole episode talking about Baby Frankenstein. So there's this movie. Go look at the trailer. I love the idea of a tiny little Frankenstein person running around the place. And there's like, the picture on the back looks so cool. You can like see the brain like through this thing. And they have a short person that plays Baby Frankenstein, and it looks like this family moves into a house, and they go down in the basement or something, and they discover like this like a homunculus, I think is what they are technically called, right? And so it's like a reanimated corpse. And so and then all of a sudden things run amok, and there's a tiny little Frankenstein that's, I don't know, killing people. I'm not sure yet. Like, the trailer didn't too much, so I'm really excited. Plus it has a really cool cover on the DVD, so I'll look it up so I can show it right here. I'll just do a little editing to show it right here. So yeah, that's a good one. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait for our watch party.
I know, next weekend watch party, and you know what, we'll just record the episode right after, and we'll just like, yeah, that'll be fun.
Fresh
Right in our brains. Okay, so
what's your next one?
My next one is kind of this crazy looking film that I saw on YouTube. I watched the trailer a few times because it's so wacky, but it looks, I guess it's a Japanese film that's about to premiere in China from what the article on Arrow in the Head said, but it's called Land Shark. And people that know me know I like my killer shark films, as terrible as some of them are, like Shark Exorcist and Mega Shark versus this and that and all that, right? I like those films. This film looks crazy. So I don't know what's going on in the trailer, really. There's a bunch of people screaming and holding guns and yelling at each other, but it's all in a different language. But then all of a sudden there's this shark that's like jumping on land and like walking all over land and eating people, and its mouth is filled with like thousands of teeth, and it just looks like one of the craziest things. I'll put a little link down below. So I'm really looking forward to Land Shark. I'm hoping it even comes over into America so I can see it. If not, I'll just keep watching the trailer over and over.
Just imagining what it could be.
Yeah, it just looks like a wacky film. So I'm really looking forward to Land Shark. Mariana.
Joe.
If you could recommend a glass of wine that would go with shark, if somebody were to say eat a shark, they'd catch one and they'd chop it up and they'd fry it, what sort of wine do you think would go with Land Shark?
I think it would have to be a white wine, because you go do white wine with fish. I don't know. Is a shark considered a fish?
Well, it's considered. I think so. I mean, yeah, because whales are like mammals, so those aren't technically fish. I think sharks are fish. I don't know. Maybe they are.
I think so. I guess a white wine, something in probably. Oh, I don't know.
Maybe like a red sauce. I cook it into a red sauce. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, you could. You can actually do vodka in red sauces. That's really delicious.
Okay, so
if you do, I would suggest using anything that isn't Monarch.
Land Shark, which I'm not like being like a person to promote eating shark, but I am promoting Land Shark, since I don't think they technically exist. But if they did, then you'd want to have like a red sauce with some vodka mixed in there, and you sizzle that. You let that sit for a while, I think, right? And then you have a nice white wine with that. So that's
I think with that, then probably like either like a Portuguese white or even an unoaked Chardonnay, like a Chablis. That would probably be really good.
We're getting a little
again, not promoting eating sharks, but like now you got me hungry.
This is Land Shark we're talking about. Okay, so what's your next one, Mariana?
So my next one, since we talked to Tony Mazziello, I have been really interested in shot and video horror, and so I'm kind of really excited for this one called Amerikill, and it's I mean, the movie's been out, but he redistributes them as DVDs or Blu-ray versions, things like that. Shout out to Tony Mazziello. And Amerikill is about these children that it's basically just a series of awesome kills, and it's of children in a suburban neighborhood. So I'm really excited to see that one. It's basically just someone going on a killing spree.
Yeah, she looks cute and sweet, folks, but I'll tell you, there's a black heart down there. She is as evil as you get, but that's why we love her.
Yeah, sure.
My next one is one that we kind of talked about before. I'm really looking forward to it. It was actually shot over in Australia during the whole quarantine thing at a safe distance. I don't know how they did it, but it's the new Children of the Corn. And we did that
Mhm.
whole episode of Children of the Corn 666. I'm really looking forward to that, so I'm not going to talk too much about it because there wasn't that many details. But I do know that it takes place before the original. So it's as the children are kind of being swayed by a supernatural force or something and killing all the adults around them. So I think that looks really cool. I got one more horror film after this, but do you have anything else, Mariana?
I do have one more. It's actually another SOV,
Oh, okay.
it's called Dead Teenagers. So it's like America killing kids, and then teenagers killing teenagers. But it's teenagers killing teenagers, and it's really cool. It's like shot all in like a house, and my favorite part of the trailer that I watched on SOV Horror was at the end, one of these teenagers like just walks into a room and goes, "I just killed Kevin." Like, oh no, Kevin! Like, what is happening? What do you mean? Oh no, I just killed Kevin. Like, he obviously did it on purpose, but not. So I'm really excited to see what led to that.
Yeah, that's actually, so glad that you brought that up. I just saw that trailer probably the same day that you did when it came out the other day. I'm definitely looking forward to purchasing that DVD at
Mhm.
sovhorror.com. Yes.
Yeah.
And that looked freaking sweet. I can't wait to see that. So I got
Well,
one more.
what else do you have for us, Joe?
I got one more. I got one more, and I'm really excited about this. I don't know when it's going to come out, how much has been shot, but people that know me know I love the Conjuring films and the Conjuring universe. I saw the first Conjuring 3 times in the theater. I bought it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen it on DVD and then other places. 20, 30 times. I watch it all the time. Seen part 2. I've seen the Annabelle films. Saw the Unfortunate Nun. I wouldn't recommend the Nun. That was just kind of like a spaghetti on the wall, little throw over to the boot lady there, some spaghetti on the wall filmmaking and seeing what sticks, and not a whole lot stuck in that film. But I do love the other Conjuring films, and so the Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, is one I'm really looking forward to. I don't know when it's coming out. Hopefully sometime this year, but probably 2021. And that's bringing back.
I mean, all I've seen is it's all said 2020 so far. So hopefully it stays in 2020.
Fingers crossed. Yes, The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, is my most anticipated film right now. And I hope that it's just as scary as the other ones. Okay, well, thank you again for joining us. We're going to call it an episode. Please hit subscribe and hit the bell because we got a really cool episode coming up on Thursday where we talk about our favorite summer camp slashers. Yes, that's what we're doing because we're going to celebrate the summer because right now it's nice and hot out. It's a good time for barbecues and beers in the backyard, if you know what I mean. It's also
But it's never a good time to go camping in the woods.
never a good time to go camping in
Never.
the woods because there's a slasher out there. So we're going to talk our top 5 slasher summer camp films. And people that know me know that I love summer camp films in general, but I especially love it when a slasher is there killing campers. Is one of my favorite things. All right, Mariana, could you please say something nice and delightfully inspiring in Italian for our folks today?
Inspiring.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. What can I say that's inspiring?
I always put her
Oh,
on the spot.
you always put me on the spot, and I really should just be like ready for it at this point. Mazze e panelle fanno I figli belli.
Oh my goodness, what does that mean?
So that's actually in the Neapolitan dialect, and it literally translates to sticks and pans make great children. I mean, it alludes to hitting your children, so so maybe
okay.
It's not great advice.
But it sounds wonderful. Could you say that one more time? It sounds delightful.
Mazze e panelle fanno I figli belli.
It's a horrible thing, but it sounds gorgeous. I love it.
It's like the opposite of German. Like beautiful things sound terrible in German.
Yep.
In Italian, terrible things sound beautiful.
That's one of those romance languages, as we all know. It all sounds like love.
It does all sound like love. And I mean, it's done with love, by the way.
It's done with love. All
That's
right,
how I grew
everybody.
up.
Thanks for joining us again for another episode of No Country for Joe and Mariana. Please join us again. Hit subscribe, and we'll see you soon on Thursday. Y'all take care now. Bye.